Hello, everybody. I pray you're doing well. Got a little update here on one of the last videos I posted on this channel talking about Mr. Bill here and some of the strange and odd things that he's up to. And he's actually up to a lot more. Here he is just the other day with Trump at the White House having some pretty interesting talks that we'll look at some of the things that were said there. And just some other things that he's got going on, which is just very odd. This guy's up to literally everything that affects what's going on a worldwide scale. And it's very weird. And he's got some pretty bad stuff going on. So let's just take a look at him. I, again, posted that video here a few days ago, and there's a lot more that needs to be discussed on this guy. And it just needs to be exposed to the world. And this video probably will not be up for long because I can't edit all these little clips that I'm about to play. And there's, keywords or words in it that are said that YouTube doesn't like. So this video will be up for probably 24 hours, maybe 48. And then it will be posted to my Patreon here, where lately I've had to post some videos that I've made that just cannot stay up on YouTube that had to get posted here. Like this video about Mr. Jeffrey, one of Bill's friends. Had to post that on Patreon exclusively. Can't even show that on members because it just can't be on YouTube. And same with this video about Islam. This had to get taken down, and I took it down. I had to and put it up here on Patreon. So just something to say, if you want to support my work there, you can go there, and there's extra content as well also. So this video I posted last time was about this, was like the breaking news that the Gates Foundation has a new world first contraceptive for African women. What it means, they're going to propose $2.5 billion commitment to accelerate the research for helping African women not have children. This is the guy who cares so much about the population of the world and not increasing, and then at the same time injecting everybody with all of his different things, which we're going to get into. He's got a few things going on in that regard. What's up, Paul, Anthony, not Matei, not sure how to say that, Scott, God bless you guys. Pray that you're well. Yes, Lord Jesus, help us and lead us. So this here, you can see this little pin that Bill's wearing. This is the UN Agenda 2030 Sustainable Goals Development. You guys have maybe seen this, but this is how they're going to push forth their plans of absolute control. One of the ways they're doing it on a global scale, UN unelected officials pushing forth worldwide narratives and rules that are happening. And these guys are all behind all this. They're all buddies, and they want to be the ones who control the entire world. There's everything that you can imagine goes into this, with mainly the climate being the main pusher behind it. Because if you don't care about the animals and the polar bears that are having to swim so much, then you're a bad person. It's the same thing with, why aren't you wearing the mask? Because you're hurting grandma. It's the exact same mindset, the exact same thing. And here's some interesting stuff about Bill and his farmland ownership in America. Kind of ties in with this whole UN 2030 thing.
Founder Bill Gates is the largest private owner of American farmland. Gates alone holds over 275,000 acres across 19 states. Why do you think Bill Gates is buying up all this land?
Well, one is greed, and it's running America's family farm is off family land. Basically, we can't buy the land once Bill Gates moves into the area.
Yeah.
And what he's trying to do now in the food industry is the same thing that they've done with seeds. When they put genetically modified seeds in, and now he wants to do that with beef. But America's farmers are proud farmers, and I'm asking Americans not to support fake meat, but to support farmers out here who grow beef like I do, and poultry.
Microsoft founder.
We should definitely be supporting our farmers. Who knows what creating lab meat is actually doing in the long term. So Bill is now buying up all this land, and he's not growing trees on them, which could actually help with the environment. Like this video here will tell us. Scott, just to answer your question, I go live the first Monday of every month for Patreon supporters and YouTube members, but I do go live randomly on this channel and on my main channel when I just want to get a video out that I, can't have all the time to make this, make a full video. It takes a lot of work on that. So Bill's buying up all the land, and he's not planting any trees on it. Why is he not doing that? Because that could actually help the environment. Let's take a listen.
Talk about planting trees. Why isn't Bill Gates the largest, private landowner in the U.S. now planting trees like crazy if he's so worried about carbon dioxide? he poo-poos the whole idea of planting trees as a way to combat climate change. It's just carbon markets and going to electric vehicles and all of this stuff. But electric vehicles necessitates mass mining, and a lot of that mining is in places that use child labor, or it's going to be so environmentally destructive you totally destroy the developing world, which, these people on the left supposedly want to protect. You're going to totally destroy the environment. But really what it's about is controlling how much energy people can use. And if you can control how much energy a household can use, you can control their economic activity. You also control how big their family can get. It's fear-driven to get people to accept policies they otherwise wouldn't accept because they're told this cataclysmic event is just down the line. And trust us, again, is the conclusion of that. There's people that agree.
Just pause that for a minute, because we've been seeing this for years and years and years. Climate change, 12 years to save the planet, make that 18 months. They come out with these things, just like that French guy came out and said, we have 500 days till climate catastrophe. They constantly push this climate narrative. Meanwhile, we can look at satellite images. Sea levels aren't rising. We can actually see Antarctic sea ice was growing last year. You see these pictures too sometimes where it's like there's a bunch of ice and then no ice, and probably some ice is melting, and that's actually not a big deal when you look at the history of the ice packs on the Earth, if you believe even in the long Earth theory. But some of those pictures could be taken in summer and winter too. We can't trust these people when they've been caught lying time and time again, especially people like Bill, who are pushing these complete globalist control mechanisms, trying to put things in people's body against their will. We can't just willingly give our trust over to these people when they're caught doing this stuff. And again, it's like a fake environmentalism. Their goal is control. Their goal is not to care about the planet. They could not care at all. If people would believe that the planet was going to get colder, which is what they used to push, the coming ice age, they're pushing that for years. If people would believe that over this, and they would give over their freedoms and their rights and the control for that, they'd be pushing that the Earth is freezing and ice is growing and all this bad stuff is happening because of that. And we see record snowfalls all the time. It happens all the time. I used to cover that stuff a lot on my main channel with the grand solar minimum, because the level of the sun and the different cycles that the sun goes in actually controls the Earth's temperature way more than CO2 emissions. And again, actually, if they cared about CO2 emissions, they could plant more trees, because that combats that. And trees and plants actually thrive off CO2. So it's ridiculous that they're doing it. It's fake environmentalism for control. And their goal is this: sustainable development, absolute control for everyone. And then for the people like in Kenya, where there's not much to control, then they just give them contraceptives that last like 7 years so they can't even have kids. I mean, this is what these people are pushing, and Bill is behind like all of it.
With the narrative about climate change, and there's people that don't, and I'm not trying to really get in that space when I talk about this stuff. I'm trying to point out that the solutions are coming mostly from Wall Street. And then you have people like Larry Fink of BlackRock and Michael Bloomberg and Mark Carney coming together in something like GFAN saying, why don't we give Wall Street direct control of the IMF and the World Bank for climate change?
Right.
How can anyone on the left that's worried about climate change sign up on that? Why don't they talk about planting trees? Why isn't Bill Gates the largest private landowner in the U.S. now, planting trees like crazy if he's so worried about carbon dioxide? He poo-poos the whole.
Right. So that's what's going on there. And that's exactly what their plan is. They've admitted at the WEF that they don't want shareholders. They want stakeholders who these companies that control, like BlackRock. They want these guys to just own everything. They control everything. I don't know if you guys have seen there's a new show, Alien Earth, and it's exactly what's going on in that. It's like 5 corporations own all of the world and control all of the world. That is exactly what they want. We'll see. The WEF founder actually pretty much admit that, and the way that he talks to Bill like he's being controlled like a chess piece is pretty crazy. I do want to say, Jose, God, I pray that you and your family will be healed in the name of Jesus. Just keep taking, the vitamins and the stuff God has given us, vitamin C and vitamin D, all that stuff. And do everything you can. And I just pray for healing for you and your family right now in Jesus' name. Also, LA Apologetics, thanks for liking on the video and the chat. It does help when you guys like the videos and share them. Helps a lot. So thanks so much, and thank you guys for being here. God bless, Anita. Nice to see you. So let's check some more of this out in relation to Bill and his control over the animals. Now he's controlling the farmland, all these different things, and he's involved in it all. And you can see in this video something known as Duper's Delight, where when some, like a child, when you ask them if they stole the cookie out of the cookie jar and they start smiling and saying no, they can't hold it in. And this happens all the time when Bill is talking about putting injections in people. It's going to happen here in this video when he's talking about injecting stuff in the animals. He just starts to laugh over something that should be a very serious issue. And he has duper's delight because he knows that there's something more sinister and deeper and darker going on, and he can't contain himself. Often this happens a lot.
Foundation has partnered with DFID on a great number of things, and among those are work we do together on livestock, helping animals survive either by having vaccines or better genetics, helping them be more productive. It's making a big difference. I was down in Ethiopia seeing how chickens are out there laying more eggs, getting more nutrition.
Like what's so funny about him being in Ethiopia and watching how the animals are acting and how they're laying more chickens? What's funny about that? He's acting like there's something so funny about seeing how like the third world, poor nations and people are in the poor areas of Ethiopia, and he's laughing about that. That's just weird.
And even some small savings into the household. So Edinburgh happens to be where a lot of the world's best work on this is done, and that's why DFID and the Gates Foundation are funding scientists here. Well, the Gates Foundation.
So this is what Bill is really up to a lot lately. He was pushing, of course, the 19, the mRNA, that stuff, and these are the reasons why this video will only be up for like 24 hours. He was pushing this stuff heavily, obviously, in people, and people weren't going along with it, so now they're just doing it in the animals, right? And people are going to eat the animals or create the lab-grown meat. So, and it's just everything's so funny to Bill. And yeah, that's just so they'll spray it on the plants. They're looking at putting vaccines on the produce, and we'll look at this here connected to that as well. Bill Gates to begin inserting mRNA in dental floss. I saw a video on this, had to look it up because I thought maybe this was, some just conspiracy going around, but this is actually a real thing. Scientists have unveiled a chilling new method to deliver mRNA vaccines via dental floss, with Bill Gates poised to begin inserting these genetic modifiers into everyday oral hygiene products across America under the guise of flu prevention. Laced with the flu vaccine components, including messenger RNA, the floss triggers an immune response when applied to permeable gum areas, raising alarms about covert population control through routine dental care.
Way Bill Gates is trying to make you healthy? So our favorite philanthropist, funding mRNA dental floss so he could vaccinate you without needles. And he has discovered that lacing dental floss with mRNA components and flu vaccines has showed a very high absorption rate. So you don't even have to get a needle to get vaccinated anymore. The craziest part is they're all excited about not needing specialized medical staff, needles, or even the public's consent. Why would you need that? Everyone wants vaccines. Now, I don't know about you, but finding new ways to get vaccinated has been at the top of my list of priorities, especially after the last 5 years. And the only way you can be healthy is to get tons of vaccines. Billy Gates just really cares about us, and he wants us all to be super healthy. I mean, just look at him. His results speak for themselves. Why wouldn't you take his health advice?
So that's a real thing. Bill Gates funded scientists to develop mRNA dental floss to vaccinate the public without injections. They're really pushing this thing on every level, and that's why it's really important to pray for the full armor of God every single day. I mean, they're really trying to attack us on every level and injecting us with this stuff. It's pretty obvious that these injections are causing bad things on a massive scale. As soon as the injections were implemented worldwide and then they were really increased in children, we saw the massive growth in autism. That's absolutely true in countries like Ethiopia, nations where kids aren't getting vaccinated at birth. They have like no cases of autism. And then in America, you can see the chart. It was like in the 70s or not even like the 80s, it was maybe 1 in 5,000. And up to now, it's 1 in 50 kids are born with autism. It might even be less now. So for them to say that that's not having some effect is obviously insanity. And we know that Bill Gates, he's talked a lot about, you can just go article upon article here about him thinking the earth is overpopulated. So why is the guy who thinks earth is overpopulated is doing everything he can for people to grow, to live longer and to be on the earth longer? It makes zero sense whatsoever. Appreciate the super chat, Kevin. God bless you, man. God bless you. Yeah, I mean, I would hope that with this dental floss stuff that they actually have to let people know that this is on the floss. And but it's hard to say. But again, God can protect us through it all. Not something to super freak out about. The Lord can protect us, and even for the people who got the 2020 shot, God can protect you. He can heal you. So many stories in the Bible of Jesus protecting and delivering. I mean, Paul was bit by a viper on his hand and he was fine. So just put your trust fully in the Lord Jesus. But this is stuff we should be definitely aware of. What's interesting at the same time is because of all the 2020 stuff, there's a lawyer who was suing Bill and Borla. Not sure who that is. Maybe someone in the Netherlands. But the lawyer who was suing them for injuries and was arrested and imprisoned in the Netherlands. We see this again. Hundreds of people were protesting the release of this lawyer who was the arrest of a sovereign citizen. Apparently, this is the only news that was kind of said on it. Arnold van Kessel will be held in custody for an additional 90 days because of the Public Prosecution Service continues to designate him as a suspect in an investigation into a criminal network, yet without presenting any evidence. And what's weird is he was about to take Bill Gates and this other guy and other people, I think, too, to court for what happened in 2020 and for damages that were happening to people. And now it just so happens that he gets arrested and now he can't go to court. Here's a video on that. Sorry, turn the sound up here.
There.
Refresh.
With anything. Yeah, he's been held and detained there. And the other thing is, even if he had been arrested for something, to bar him, to strike him off, for him to be struck off as a lawyer. I mean, people can get arrested for something, but they haven't actually committed any crime. It could then come out that it was a mistake. But they've just been the sort of the judge and jury in this. They've decided he's been arrested, so we're going to strike him off. I mean, where's the justice in that? Surely that in itself is an indication that there is foul play afoot here.
I was speaking to some people who tried to vaccinate people, maybe also children, I don't know. At the street there was this bus and he was talking to people who wanted to get vaccinated, and he was not happy with this bus being there and vaccinating people. And but he was there with a doctor, and then he was accused that he had misbehaved somehow, but the doctor has publicly stated that she was there. He was acting quite normal. He didn't do anything wrong.
Democratic. It's his democratic right. I mean, it's his democratic right to raise those concerns, but he wasn't breaking the law and he didn't do anything to warrant this very, very heavy-handed approach.
So again, supposedly this guy was arrested for some involvement in some criminal organization. So we don't know exactly what's going on there, but it is odd that just a week or two before he's about to take these massive people to court, that he gets taken to arrest. He gets arrested and can't go to court now. But I guess there's people who were on the case with him who are going to court still. This was pretty recent. This was August 11th. So this is kind of going on right now. Interesting for sure. I saw someone mention in the chat Trump bringing this stuff to warp speed. It's so weird, and I don't honestly know what to think sometimes with the Trump stuff, because there are good things that are happening. We're seeing good stuff happen at times, and even with RFK, he's taken the 2020 vax out of the recommended vaxes for children. They're moving other things. I saw Florida just signed a thing where children now don't have, I mean, this is more of a state thing, but children don't have to have any vaccines now at birth. So we're seeing things change and there is good stuff happening, but then at the same time, it's weird. And like, kind of like this, where Bill Gates meets with Trump now at the White House, and they're talking about warp speed and all this stuff, which was of course pushing the 2020 vax. So yeah, let's take a listen.
Well, I'm in the second phase of my career, giving away all the wonderful money that Satya's good work has helped multiply a lot. But I think the thing that ties my first career that I still spend some time on, because AI is so phenomenal, and my second career is innovation, innovating in health in areas like vaccines or gene editing, and the president and I are talking about taking American innovation to the next level to cure and even eradicate some of these diseases. He mentioned polio, which is one that we're close. We don't need new science on that one. for some like HIV and sickle cell. We do need new science, but the U.S. Has the seeds that in the same way that warp speed took those seeds and put them together, I think something fantastic can be done. AI for our foundation is that we want a doctor for everyone in Africa through AI. We want farmers to have incredible advice and, kids to have a chance to learn. So,
yikes. Man, if only Jeffrey Epstein could see his two homies just crushing in the White House having fun like that. I have a whole other video I did last week on Bill Gates and Donald Trump, and I'll tell you what most Trump supporters and Republicans don't want to tell you. And Democrats won't tell you either, by the way, because they're not doing this type of reporting. But Trump and Bill Gates are not enemies. Trump offered Bill Gates a White House position in 2018. Bill Gates said in 2018 that he got Trump super interested in a flu vaccine, and in 2019, 6 months before the pandemic, Donald Trump passed an executive order for modernizing influenza vaccines. I know there's so many fake opposition Republicans and disinformation agents who hit the media space to brainwash conservatives and patriots into thinking that Trump is saving them and that Trump is fighting the Bill Gates agenda. But what more do you need to know? Why do you think he's placed on the other side of Melania right next to Donald Trump? This is not random. They're friends with Bill Gates, Trump works with Bill Gates, and he's nodding his head when Bill Gates referenced Operation Warp Speed, suggesting they're going to work again soon.
In the same way that Warp Speed took those seeds and put them together.
Wake up, patriots. Stop listening to stupid Trump slob knobbers whose entire career they've made a fortune off of just licking the dirt off of his shoes and saying it's Willy Wonka's chocolate. They're going to do some sneaky stuff again in the health department. If people don't wake up to the reality, to the fact that Trump is not God, he's not fighting the deep state, and he's not completely innocent with what happened in 2020 and 2021. He's in on it, and he's probably going to do some weirdo stuff again. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys.
So, like Carol says in the chat that this guy Anomaly, I know of him. I don't know too much, don't watch him regularly or anything, but just in regards to what's going on here, and then just in regards to Trump and stuff, I'm conservative in my beliefs, in my opinions, and I support conservative policies and things that are moving forth, and we are seeing some good stuff coming forth from all this. And so I have to say that, but I'm not going to be definitely one of these people who just sit back and when there's crazy stuff or bad things happening, just sit back and say, oh, well, he's a conservative, I'm going to trust him. Definitely not the case, especially when there's bigger things at work, for sure. Bigger things at work here. I don't know. It's weird. Like the warp speed stuff, obviously not a fan at all, but there's other stuff that Trump and his administration have done way more than Biden's administration have done that have been good for our nation. So you got to really just kind of evaluate it all, because if they just wanted complete destruction, they would continue on the same plan. We do see different things happening under different administrations, and that's just absolutely true. Yeah, the warp speed stuff, obviously 100% against that. Absolutely. So here's a couple more videos on Bill, just to see some stuff, just a little reminder of just the way he thinks and the way he talks with the stuff, with the injections and his plans there. A video from him at the WEF, and just seeing how he's like a tool practically of the WEF, and then how he's buddies with Epstein, and he does have to answer to that, and he has a response, but he makes it seem like, oh, I had dinner with him. It's like, why are these people hanging out with him? It's pretty weird. I mean, even his wife, Bill's wife, Melinda, told him to not hang out with Jeffrey Epstein. Why did that happen? So let's take a listen here to Bill on this. It says, they're not done experimenting on your children.
RNA is really easy and really cheap, and that's the magic of this thing. But there's no doubt in the next 5 years, we can, we just need to mess around. We just need to mess around. There's a lot of lipid nanoparticles, and some are very self-assembling. There's no inherent reason it's not thermostable, it's not cheap, and it's not scalable. And so, as over the 5 years, we fix that part of it, mature it, which is very typical, we'll be able to build factories worldwide that can make $2 vaccines with even less lead time than we've had to have here during this pandemic. For every disease that we don't have vaccines, we will try mRNA. For every disease that we don't have vaccines, we will try mRNA.
So it's weird how Bill talks like that, and that we showed that I played the video in my last video on him saying we just inject these living organisms in kids' arms and we just shoot it right in their veins. That's how he says it. That's how this guy talks, and saying, well, we just have a lot of experimenting to do. There's a lot to try and do, and we saw the videos. I mean, even the video of Kamala getting the injection, you can see the needle folds to the side. She doesn't get it. All these fake videos of the politicians getting the 2020 shot, and they're not even real. Plus, you don't know what's in them. And then there's videos out there of these people not even getting them. The needle folds over and they're just fake shooting nothing into the arm. So it's like, if it's so safe, then why aren't you putting it in yourself? If it's so safe, why aren't you doing this? And it's like, you know, they're up to something with this stuff. It's definitely not to be trusted. And we can just look at the health of the populations of the people who are constantly being injected with things and know that there's something deeper, not good, going on here. So let's just take a listen to Bill's response about being buddies with Epstein, how he dodges it. That's probably one of the reasons. And we're seeing that actually the victims of Epstein have come out recently. They're saying they're going to make their own list because they know the people who are involved. So I found this interesting. We'll watch this and then we'll see how Bill Gates is 100% a tool being used by the WEF. And the way that this guy talks, Klaus Schwab talks about him, is like he's just a control. He's just a pawn. Well, like a bishop maybe in a chess game, and he's just but the chess board is owned by the WEF, and they want to, not just them, BlackRock, other companies, other organizations, secret societies are involved in that, but they're definitely a main player for sure. So let's take a listen to this and we'll get to that.
One of the issues that's dogged you is that of your relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Do you regret the relationship that you maintained with him against Melinda's advice and wishes?
Oh, I've said that I mean, you're going way back in time, but yeah,
new audience.
I will say for the, over 100th time, yeah, I shouldn't have had dinners with him.
Epstein had a way of sexually compromising people. Is that what Melinda was warning you about?
No. I mean, no, I had dinner with him, and that's all.
And that you regret the relationship, the acquaintance?
That I had dinner with him.
Mm. And the relationship between the foundation and Epstein, which
there never was any relationship of any kind.
It just goes on, same questions, and he gives the same answers, but that's the kind of stuff, that's why people want the list so bad, because we would know more about this kind of thing, and people like Bill Gates couldn't just get away with saying, well, I had dinner with Jeffrey one time, that was it, there's nothing beyond that. That's why so many people want the list. That's why they're dodging the list. Who knows if we'll ever get it? And that's another thing about the whole Trump thing. And again, I'm a conservative in many ways, but then when they come out and say they're giving us the list, they're giving us, they have the files, they have tens of thousands of videos that they're going through of terrible stuff that can't be shown in relation to Epstein. Obviously, they have some sort of evidence, but just Jeffrey Epstein was arrested. He supposedly killed himself, or gosh, I shouldn't say that. That's another reason the stream won't be up long. He was supposedly passed away, and then after that, there's just nothing. There's no evidence of anything, and this guy just became, what, multiple hundreds of millions of dollars in owning islands from nothing. Obviously, they're withholding information there, and the fact that we were led on to believe that we would get truth about the Epstein list, and then Trump comes out with Epstein's neighbor standing beside him laughing and saying there's nothing, it's a conspiracy made up by the Democrats. It's like, give me a break. That's not cool. That doesn't fly. And they need to be still. We need the Epstein list. We should not let that go away. And hopefully these new victims will give us a legit list. So I am we'll check this out here. This is the last video. Thank you guys for being in the chat. I'm reading. So if anything else you want to say, I'll read the chat while this video plays. And yeah, so this is Bill Gates, Klaus Schwab, 2008, discussing how great it will be when disease reduces the population. And just listen to some of the words. I'll pause it as Klaus is talking just about how Bill is obviously a control mechanism of the WEF and these other globalist organizations.
What would you like to see as your legacy in 10, 15 years?
Of the new work?
Of the new work.
Yeah.
Of your new function.
That alone is weird, of your new work, of your new function, like your new job that we're supporting you in doing, which is why you're sitting on this stage out. Talk about your new function for the next 10 to 15 years. These guys, man, they're evil for sure.
Well, I've set very ambitious goals because I'm quite optimistic. If you look at, say, the 20 diseases that our global health program goes after, I'd hope that within 15 years, over half of those, we could have had a very dramatic impact. Some of them will prove to be harder than others. For example, AIDS, we will have made an improvement, but not the dramatic improvement probably in that time frame. Malaria, perhaps, and a number of the other ones, we have things in the pipeline. So, huge change in the mortality rates in developing countries, which then has this effect of reducing population growth. That's this big benefit.
He said this multiple times, and he even made his own video that I think he posted on, for sure on YouTube, I think on his YouTube channel, where he talks about how using vaccinations and global health and helping people live longer, how it actually brings the population of the earth down. That makes obviously no sense. No one would believe that. Anybody could comprehend that. So they just say in the open that it brings the population down, and that's the big benefit. How would making people live longer and be healthier, and not dying from diseases, how would that bring down the population? Makes zero sense unless he's just openly saying, like many of them believe, they have to say their things to the public so they're not held accountable for them, which is not true, but that's what they believe in these weird secret societies, that they're just saying to the population that the population will actually grow lower if you take this stuff in, and they just openly admit it.
That then makes everything like education and nutrition a lot easier. So I have very high expectations there, and we actually use these dashboards internally at the foundation to make everything be quite numeric. We're trying to be rigorous about that and even share those so that people can see, oh, you fell short of what you had in mind, and then we get to explain if we have any lessons that might be learnable from other foundations. So I think there's some things about how we go about things that I hope those learnings can have an impact. There's the specific work in the different divisions, health, development, and the U.S. education work. That in 15 years, boy, by then we will have spent a lot of money. $3 billion a year, 15 years, that adds up. And for that, people should have a very high expectation of what we can do.
Thank you, Bill, for having brought to us this evening a very enlightened, a very enlightened view of capitalism. I hope many will follow you. We will facilitate it in any case, because that's the mission of the World Economic Forum.
That's a big thing to get out of that. So there he's talking about pushing forward the control mechanisms with the vaxes and the health and these different global health operations that are going to supposedly bring the population down. And the WEF says, we will, of course, facilitate that, because that is the job of the World Economic Forum, to facilitate Bill's work in bringing the population down through health benefits to the world. That obviously these things don't make sense, but just seeing that the World Economic Forum does have their hand in this stuff heavily means that we need to continue to expose them.
And I'm looking forward to, if I may say so, to welcome you back in your new incarnation next year. Thank you.
Supposedly Bill's new incarnation, whatever that is, while the WEF facilitates his implementation of depopulating the world. I mean, these guys sit on stages and they just admit this stuff to the population and they get a roaring applause. It's mind-blowing that people can't see through this stuff. So that covers this stuff, guys. I wanted to kind of cover that. That's about it. And just something else to also say, I saw that Bill Gates' Appeal company, which is involved in organic food and stuff, actually, I think got taken away from either its funding or something like that by RFK with whatever he's doing with the Make America Healthy thing. So that's what's kind of weird about all this stuff, is that we see good stuff coming from the administration, and then we see warp speed stuff and no Epstein list. So we're getting both sides. So I don't know if they do that on purpose to confuse it, but if it was 100% evil, they would just do it all and they wouldn't tell us anything. So that's just the way I look at it. And that's just my honest opinion about it. I'll support what's wrong and I'll call out what's evil. That's kind of how I look at it. I wanted to say, Air Spud, I pray that you will just continue on your path. I know the Lord will lead you. Do your best to just to to get off and keep going. And you can for sure do it. I know it's possible. I'm telling you for sure you can. Just continue on and keep following the Lord and just keep him first. Something that's helped me and something I try to do is throughout my day, I just pray, Jesus, I'm surrendered to you. What do you want me to do? And pray for his guidance that way. And if you're struggling with this or that, just pray that to Jesus and do the best you can to move in the right direction. Ask God to lead you in that direction, and he will. I know he will. So keep that in mind for you and for anybody else. And just for everybody in the chat saying to pray for your family. I think someone said pray for Jake. I pray Jake will find the Lord Jesus. I do also believe actually that Anomaly is not a controlled opposition or anything. From what I've seen, he's called out what's wrong and what's good and what's good. And again, we all have our own opinions and no one will ever be right. So just because we disagree with someone doesn't mean that they're controlled opposition or something like that. We got to keep that in mind. I think that's about it, guys. Thanks so much for stopping on the stream today. More content coming soon, Lord willing. And again, just pray your life to be surrendered to the Lord Jesus. Pray that to him every day and in everything that you're going through. Jesus, I'm surrendered to you, and have him guide you in your life in every way. And he will guide us through these times that we're in. And that's the most important thing. There's hope. There's good things coming. There's amazing things all through Jesus Christ. He's in control of everything. And may he confuse and continue to confuse the plans of the enemy.